Do you feel like you are drowning in a sea of tasks? Do you feel like it is so hard to keep your head above water? Well, you don't want to miss this episode because I am going to share four different metaphors to help you think about your time differently, and that will help you to take control of your time. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Do More, Stress Less podcast. I'm your host, Alexis Hasselberger, a time management and productivity coach. In every episode, I give you actionable, practical tips to help you learn to use your time in a way that feels good to you every day. No more hustling, scrambling, or struggling to keep your head above water. So let's dive in, and soon enough, you'll be doing more and stressing less. Now, I realized the other day that I use water metaphors all the time when I'm talking about time. So I thought I'd do a little roundup of my go tos here in case these help you to reframe or to better understand why you're doing what you're doing and why you find yourself in the situation that you're in. As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and a metaphor is essentially a mental image. So, I want to share with you four ways that thinking about your time and your tasks like water can help you to rethink your time and ultimately to feel more in control of your time. So, here goes. Now, drowning versus keeping your head above water. Now, I think this is the most common one, and it's probably one that you're familiar with. You've probably heard this. And I bet you often feel like you're drowning in tasks, in stuff to do. There's more than you can do, and you're thrashing around trying to grab hold of something, anything to keep your head above water, right? But when you're drowning, the first step isn't to get your entire body out of the water, it's to make sure that you can breathe. You want to focus on getting just your head above the water, your mouth and your nose, because that's reality, right? None of us can walk on water. You're not going to find yourself in a position where you're on top of everything and everything you need to do is already done and it's below you and you're just kind of walking on top of the water. That is not how real life works. There'll always be more to do. Life just keeps going. But when your head is above water, not your whole body, just your head, you're in a good position. You can breathe, you can see, you can make decisions about your time in a way that you cannot when you are drowning, when you are just grasping for anything. So getting that head above water becomes really important. But again, it's not your whole body, it's just your head. Now, the second metaphor I want to share with you is about the ebb and the flow. The demands on your time can feel like tides. The water ebbs and flows. Sometimes you are in the thick of it. The waves are coming fast and furious. They're crashing. The tide is high. There is so much to do and so little time. And then sometimes it ebbs, right? The tide is low. The waves are non existent. You can stroll through the water ankle deep without fear that it'll soak your pants, right? And here's the thing, when the tides are high, you long for the low tides. And when the tide is low, you often feel like you're missing something, like there's not enough, like maybe even you're a little bit bored. So you need both. And that's good because you're definitely going to get both, right? And if you want to know how to set yourself up for the high tides during the low tide times, I am going to put in the show notes an article that I wrote about this a while back that I think you might find really helpful. Now, the third metaphor I want to talk about is your task system acting as a buoy, right? As a buoy that helps keep you afloat. Now, I wrote about this a while back. So again, if you want to read more about this, I will certainly drop that into the show notes. But I want to give you a little TLDR right now. So I want you to think of your task system like it's a floating device, an inner tube, right? If it is a list, just a list of all the things that you need to do, well, that is not what we're talking about right here. We are talking about how to build a task system that can be a buoy, because your task system is going to tell you not only what you need to do, but also when you need to do it, which is incredibly important because we cannot fit everything into one day. And it is super, super overwhelming and frustrating to look at a big long list of all the things you have to do and then sit there in analysis paralysis going, what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do next? We don't want that, right? But your task system can be a buoy. It can be a floating device. It can be the inner tube that helps you to keep your head above water so that you're not treading so fast trying to make it happen. Now, it does take a little time to blow up your inner tube, right? To blow up that floating device, especially when you do it the first time. You can't just, throw an inner tube into the water that does not have any air in it and expect it to float. It does take a little bit of effort up front. But once you have once you have that effort, now you can sit in it. You can float down that lazy river, right? You can be on top. You can keep your head above water, knowing that your task system is there to support you, right? To help you to not have to rely on memory. It is a tool that helps you to not drown, right? Your task system is your buoy. And it may feel sometimes, well, I don't have time to blow up that buoy. But if you don't blow up that buoy, then you're going to be treading water and you are going to give out. Your legs are going to give out, your arms are going to give out, and your head is going to slip back below water. So that is why your task system is like a buoy. Now I want to share the last water metaphor here. And this is of the overflowing cup. Now, I often work with folks who have objectively too much on their plates. They're trying to do the work of 3 people and they feel like they're failing. Or maybe they're making it work, but it's at the expense of their personal lives and their health. They think that if they can just get more efficient, they'll be able to fit everything in. And when you get more efficient, you can certainly do more. That is 100% true. And I work with all of my clients on how to get more efficient so that they can get more done. But everyone has a max capacity, right? Even the most efficient person on earth. So I want you to think of your time capacity like a cup of water. Maybe you're the most efficient person on earth and your cup is really, really big. You can fit a lot of water in it. But eventually, if you keep pouring in more water, it is going to spill all over the place. There's a cap on your capacity, and it's the top of that vessel, no matter how big your cup is, no matter how efficient you are. If you want to fit more in, well, you're going to have to pour something out first. Otherwise, you're going to have a big, giant mess that you need to clean up on your hands. You don't have the power to make the water take up less space, right? Or at least I don't, right? I can't make the water more dense to fit more of it in the cup than fits in the cup. But you do have the power to decide what goes into the cup and what comes out of the cup, right? You can't just keep pouring. If you do, I mean, you can, right? But it'll spill all over the place. But you have the power to decide what goes into the cup and what comes out of the cup. Now, I hope that these water metaphors resonate with you, and I'll see you next week. And that's a wrap on today's episode of the Do More, Stress Less podcast. If you found today's episode helpful, please share it with somebody who could use a little less stress in their life. And make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're excited to take action or you need a little extra support, check out the free resources available on my website or schedule a free consultation call with me. You can do both of these at alexishasselberger.com. See you next time.